Day 742 being Christopher Cruz. I came to Whole Foods. I'm gonna get some pasta, and I got into the parking lot. I was gonna park in the back, and because usually there's no parking spots like towards the front, and I just had this thought like, no, park in the front. You're not an orphan. Don't expect an amazing spot. And I was like, okay, I'll try that. Yeah, I do deserve a great spot. I'm a child of God. I'm not an orphan. I don't need to park in the back. And so I drove over and I came to the front row, and there was a spot that was kind of farther back, and I was like, nah, I deserve better than that. And so I kept driving down, and then all the spots were taken. And I was like, oh, well, that was a lame little experiment. And then right as I drove past, I hear ching, or like the car start, and I looked over and there were people leaving, and literally there's the wall, and I'm in the closest possible spot other than handicap. And I was like, wow, look at what happens when you just take ownership, like of who you are, of your identity. Now I know it's silly with a parking spot, but it was just more of a statement of like, hey, here's who I am, and then God, there it is. But anyway, I was doing this video because today was literally perfect, and it wasn't perfect because today was perfect. Today was so perfect because of who I was being. I was being me, and there is this confidence and certainty that I have today that is just so powerful. And yeah, the interns were sitting like in a group, and they were just chatting, and I was like, and I thought I should go over there and tell them, like, you know, that I'm leaving. And literally they were all there, and they're never all four sitting together, or all three sitting together. One of them wasn't here today. And so I walk over there and I was like, I have something to tell you guys. Today's my last day in the internship. And they're like, what's going on? And then I was like, the event I went to, and then they were interested, so I was telling them the story of what happened. And one of the girls in the internship, like, she's like a sister, and we butt heads a lot. We're both very prideful and stubborn, and you know, all that stuff. And I'm telling the story of what happened, and I just feel this assertiveness, this boldness, this confidence, you know, as I'm speaking to them in ways that I never have before. I'm speaking to her in ways that I never have before. And she's just sitting there, and I'm speaking like life into her, and I'm just being bold and all of that. And she's just got tears in her eyes, and I'm just like, wow, who am I being? And then, you know, they want me to come and lead the team for putting the bounce house and doing all that. And I was just so outspoken and assertive and bold and confident and alpha, and just, it was just like this walking in this identity of who God says I am, this confident, courageous, bold, powerful man, and just walking in that. And it was just like, wow. And just having the most incredible attitude, and just having this kind of attitude of this certainty of who I was. And the other times when I feel that way is when I've spoken on a certain stage, or I'm leading a certain team. Like, there's just this, it's like my natural state. For me to be small is unnatural, but it's comfortable, and it's what I'm used to. But my natural state is bold and assertive and powerful, and just this, yeah, I just had this presence that was just, yeah, it was amazing. And it felt amazing. And it was like, it wasn't like this high, it was just like this total calmness, but joy with confidence. It was incredible. And then our pastor wants us to get together and just pray before we end the day. And the guy who has a learning disability, he was like standing out, you know, in the back, and we were all in a circle praying. And I look at him, I'm like, hey, get over here. And, you know, because he probably felt like an outcast, like he's not part of the team or whatever it is. And I was like, man, get over here. He comes over here, and then at the end, our pastor's like, okay, who wants to pray? And he's like, I'll pray. I was like, dang. We were all kind of like, dang. And he just prays this beautiful prayer about helping us see how much God loves us and allowing us to feel that. And I was blown away. I know everyone was blown away. It was beautiful, and it was so authentic, and And I was like, hey man, let me give you a ride. And so we're walking towards the car, and one of the interns and this other lady's leaving, and I was like, hey, I wanted to give him a hug goodbye, and just being assertive, just being like confident, because I'm not going to see him all week now. And then the guy gets in the car with me, and I have some of the hats at the back. I have one of the gray hats and the black hats of Warriors of God, which is the lion logo. And I was like, he sits down, and I'm like, hey man, like, what do you think of this hat? He's like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, I'm gonna give it to you. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. And I explained to him what the lion represents in the fist and the crown, and he was like, wow, that's so cool. He was like blown away by how cool that was. And I was like, yeah man, it's yours, have it. And you could tell he was like really happy about it. And we were getting ready to leave, and then one of the interns calls me and says, hey, have they locked up because she forgot to get a ticket for parking? Because if you don't get a validation ticket, then you have to pay for parking. She's like, don't worry about it. And I was like, no. And then I asked, like, hey, can we get validation? And he gave me the keys. And it was just like doing things that just were assertive. It was a different energy, and people responded to me differently. It's crazy because they responded to me how I've been wanting them to respond to me for a long time, but they haven't. It's like, just like little things, like one of the girls from Kids came over, and she's like, hey, when you get your team together, she's never called it my team before. And like when our pastor, we were getting ready to lock up the gates, and usually I have to do that. And he hands me the keys. He's like, yeah, do you want to find someone who can do that? Who would be good for that? And it was just like the smallest, slightest things, but I noticed significantly. They were significant to me. But it was just like, wow, when you act different, people treat you different, whether they realize it or not. And yeah, there was just this confidence and this bold assertiveness, but with love. It was just assurance, assurity, like certainty, like just certainty with love. It was incredible, and I still have it right now. And I just feel like, yeah, I was so bold in being who God called me to be, so bold in being this powerful person that I really am. And there was no smallness, there was no coward, there was no fear, there was nothing like that. It's just like it feels like I'm being me. I feel completely in my element being who I'm being right now, completely in my element. And I'm just like, wow, this is who God has called me to be. This is who God has called me to be. And it feels so good to be so confident and assertive, coming from a place of love. It's not coming from insecurity. It's not coming from control or domination. It's just coming from this place of love, and this place of knowing my worth, and knowing my intelligence, and knowing who God has called me to be. Like, I'm discovering that more and more every day. But yeah, it's amazing. Because when you're being small, when you're being a coward, and it's one of the worst feelings in the world to feel this small. And that was just totally gone. So incredible day. It was literally perfect, because I was me. And I had some of the best conversations I've ever had at church. Because usually I'm not like trying to have conversations with people. I just want to not have conversations. And no, I had powerful conversations. Very powerful conversations. And when we were up worshiping, this older guy who he used to come all the time. Now he goes to the other location. But I'm up there and I'm worshiping, and I got freaking tears in my eyes, and I feel this hand on my back, and I don't know who it is. And I look over, and it's him. And we just look at each other, and we hug each other, And we both, he says it right as I think it. He says, I miss you, bro. And I was like, I miss you, man. And, you know, he's this older guy, and I just really respect him and look up to him in his faith and in his enthusiasm for God. And he's helped me so much with my own faith. And it was just like such an authentic, like, love. Yeah, it was crazy. And I always have to pull him up to the front, and he saw me and he just came up there. I didn't even know he was coming. And so it was like I had this freedom to express not only what I was thinking, but how I felt about people. It was like this freedom to express love and this freedom to fight for people and to say things that I wouldn't say before because I'd be afraid of reactions or of judgment, or I just didn't feel confident enough to say it because who am I to say that? But there's this incredible thing, like when you understand your identity in God, it changes things, it shifts things. And I just felt this huge shift, and it feels right. It feels like it's me. And yeah. And I'm so proud of how I finished this off, because there was part of me where it was like, I'm not going in early. I need sleep. I was 30 minutes late today. You know, because I was battling between that, like, do I go back to sleep? You know, I don't want to show up and do this, or, you know, do I go back to sleep or do I not? And then I got up and I was 30 minutes late, and it was totally good. And then at the end of service, I was like, all right, I think maybe I'm going to go home and work. I really want to work on some stuff. But then it was like, no, just finish. And it was great because my campus pastor had to leave to drive someone somewhere, so he wouldn't have been able to do it. And so it was cool that, you know, I was there for him to rely on me to do what I normally do. And it gave me a chance to talk to the interns and tell them. And yeah, it was just I'm just really proud of how I handled it. And yeah, it just feels like it's a new chapter. It feels like the person that I was 4 days ago is so far from the person I am now. It just, yeah. It's incredible, like when God shows you who you are. And one of the interns I was talking to, she made such a good point. She's like, you know, you're analytical and you're visual and you like to see things and understand things. And she said, you know, when you went to that event and you spoke, and all those people, you know, you saw them, you saw their reaction. It was like you needed to see that to understand, you know, what God has for you. And she was just so right. It was so brilliant for her to say that, because it was like, I've never spoken in front of a group of those kinds of believers, like real believers, serious believers that aren't afraid or ashamed of their faith. And I just spoke for 2 minutes, and I saw their enthusiasm. I saw them on the edge of their seats. I saw them lean in. Like, I saw all of that from just 2 minutes. And I saw the impact it had on people and the things that they came and they said. It was like, wow, it was so impactful. And so that's part of what she was saying, is like, you had to see it. And now you saw it, you know, you understand it, your brain processes it. It's like, now you get it. And, yeah, and and being able to talk about my brand. I talked about my brand, like, to a few people. Like, I help believers find their purpose in life so they can become warriors. Because when you're a believer and you find your purpose, you become a warrior. But if you're a believer and you don't have your purpose, you're an easy target for the enemy. And so finding your purpose is so significant, because when you find your purpose, you become a warrior and you fight to expand the kingdom of God. And it was just like, yeah, massive shift. And I love it. And it just feels so natural. It feels effortless. It feels like, oh, there you are. You've been hiding for your whole life and came out in little spurts, but here you are. And yeah, that was amazing. And I am amazing. God created me to be me, and I love who this person is. I hate the small coward, but who this guy is, there's no one else in the world I'd rather be like. And there's no one else that I admire more than this this person that God created me to be in. That it's like, imagine that's how much God loves us, that he created you to be the person that you love the most, and the person that inspires you the most, and the person that you want to be the most. Like, he made you to be your own hero. Other than him, you're your own hero. Because we all love that greatest version of ourselves. We all love that inner lion, and we hate the sheep. We hate the mediocrity. And so it's just like, isn't that incredible that the person on this planet that you actually love the most is who he created you to be? It is the God version of yourself. It is his vision of you. It's his identity of you. The amount of self-love is just like, that's overwhelming. That's just like, it's beautiful. Because if he created the person that you love more than anyone else in the world to be someone outside of you, then you would always feel a lack. You would always feel like something's missing. You'd always be chasing something other than yourself. But I feel like God is like, I created you to be your favorite thing. Like, that's brilliant. It's just such a gift. It's such a gift. He's like, everything that you want to be, you already are. And everything that you admire more than anything else in the world when it comes to personality traits and all that, you have. That's who you are. And when you realize that, when you wake up to who you are, it's like, wow, I'm in love with this person. And not from an egoic way at all. Not from a prideful way. No ego. It's like genuine love. Like, wow, I feel so blessed to be me. And I'm so proud of who I am. It's being proud of who you are, but not prideful of who you are. It's like honoring yourself. So, yeah. And my journey begins now. It's 4:44 p.m. Yeah. I just did my last term of internship. Wow, I have the whole week ahead of me. Oh, I'm gonna create some freaking magic. God and I are gonna create magic this week. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Come on, I'm gonna review these notes, all the brilliant notes and breakthroughs and realizations that God gave me. I'm gonna sit down and review those. The notes that I took today from church were just absolute fire. I don't even know where they are, but I took a picture of them, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, just so good. So